Welcome into the Graham Lincoln Mac Lane podcast, presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Graham Lincoln Mac Lane. Mac, we have made it. This is our last season preview. We have previewed every team. Some teams were grouped together in certain episodes. Didn't mean it personally. It just had to happen that way. But we finally did it. We released Georgia Tech yesterday. We're putting out Louisville today. And boom! We have covered every team, and then next week is game week, Mac. Actually, it's game week this week if you're a Stanford fan, but next week is when things really get going.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think we made it. We made it happen. Had some great guests, some great head coaches, and just it's exciting to be optimistic and excited for the most part.
Everyone's 0-0
about everybody, but I will say I'm very excited to just see and talk about what's really happening.
Yeah.
As fun as the preseason stuff is, it's not, predicting stuff and who knows what's going to happen. It's tough to do. And it's just, it's all make-believe at the end of the day. Who knows? So I'm excited that we get to move forward. We get to talk about what's going to actually happen, at least after this episode. I'm saying all that we don't have to do in this to finish here, but it has been fun. And it's exciting to jump into all these teams. And I think Louisville is one of those teams that's it's kind of weird. I feel like Georgia Tech has kind of been the heavy underdog, kind of not talked about, minus the big whatever. But Louisville feels like they should be right there too, KG. I think these guys are going to be really good.
I agree. I think the schedule is very manageable, kind of like maybe 2 years ago as compared to last year. Their win total in Vegas is 8.5, which is high, Mac. Yeah. And I think a lot of that has to do with the schedule. A lot of it has to do with the fact that Jeff Brohm won 10 games in year one. And 9 games last year. The second he's gotten there, he's revitalized that program like he said he would. So that's really exciting. And by the way, if you missed our episode on the Summer Guest Series with Pat Forty from Sports Illustrated, he gave some good thoughts on Louisville. Louisville fans, if you want to go check it out, he lives in Louisville, by the way. And he was talking about the offense. So let's start there, Mac. This offense is going to be electric. They averaged 36.5 points per game last year. And Tyler Shuck obviously had a great year, ended up being a second-round pick. You bring in Miller Moss, who's maybe even more talented, people are talking about. You've got Isaac Brown year 2 plus Duke Watson. That running back room is loaded. The wide receiver room is loaded. What do we expect from this offense, Mac?
Yeah, well, everything you just said there is really good and things that people are, I think, excited about for good reason. And we'll start with Miller. Just his abilities, right? For whatever reason, we saw him have flashes of greatness, and Louisville saw that up close and personal.
One of those was the Holiday Bowl, 2023.
Up close and against your team. And so now he's joining you. And, it's one of those things where I think that Coach Brohm is going to get the absolute most out of him. I think there's more to get. I think he's a pro. I think he's ready. Speaking to him at Media Day in Charlotte, just the way he sees the game. And, he was very intentional about why he chose Louisville. And I think it's because of the development under Coach Brohm. I think it's because of the potential that he saw in this offense. So now you're looking at, okay, what's the next step? How can I be, the guy in that Louisville game and some others for 15 games, if that's what it takes? How can I be that? And I think they're really going to get out of them. So I'm excited to see that. It's going to be interesting, because Louisville's had a different quarterback every year. Is that the model? Yeah. Are we just going out and getting someone who couldn't get it done where they were and come here? I don't know. You probably eventually want some sustainability and want a guy for 2, 3, 4 years to lead the ship. But, Louisville in general feels like they're approaching this very NFL-like, very much as we'll fill the needs as we need to. We're going to get better every year. We are not going to stay the same. And, there's positives and minuses to that. And obviously 10 wins, 9 wins, there's a lot more positive, it seems, of right now. I think the receiver core has a really good chance. Chris Bell is fun to watch. He's a strong guy, bigger guy, very exceptional leader, ready to take another step. But it feels like, for whatever reason, KG, people forget Colin Lacey had 1,300 yards 2 years ago and is a dude. And hopefully, if he stays healthy, will fully be unlocked in this offense and what he can bring to this table. You bring in Dakari Collins from Clemson, from NC State, kind of on his third school. Will it work? He's a bigger body guy. Can he be a red zone, type of threat there? Then some other younger cats. some transfers in behind them at the wide receiver position. I'm excited to see those guys.
And I'm excited about the running backs too. Like Isaac Brown. Look, Isaac Brown made some people look silly last year to run for 1,100 yards and 11 touchdowns as a true freshman. That's very rare at the running back position, Mac, right? Because there's obviously the talent shines through in that you can hand the ball to a guy and he can go as a true freshman, but the pass protection and just being able to play as a true freshman is hard.
Right.
He was phenomenal. So I'm excited to see his next step. And, the theme maybe for Louisville right now is the next step. How can they get to that next step?
Right.
They lost to Notre Dame and SMU and Miami last year, right? All in one-score games. They're 4 losses if you add in Stanford, which of course was the bad loss. I think every Louisville fan would agree. 4 losses by a total of 24 points. So yeah, you lose to the teams that were probably better than you, Notre Dame, SMU, Miami, and then the Stanford loss you can't afford. If you don't lose to Stanford, you go 10-3, which feels a lot better than 9-4, and that's 2 straight 10-win seasons. I feel like this offense has the potential to take them to the next step.
Yes.
Now, we can talk about the defense, Mac, but it may just have to be that type of year where you're going to have to outscore people.
Why not?
And I think this offense can. I really do if they stay healthy.
No, I don't think there's any question on that. And then just to go back to the running backs, that I think is going to be a huge piece of that. If there's an easiest position, easy is a very relative word, to transition to me, it's running back and defensive tackle. Obviously, that was pretty clear last year with Isaac Brown that he was just ready. And he said on the road trip that the guys just did, and Taylor, I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just running, and that's what I mean. Literally just give him the ball, get out of the way. And if he's talented enough, he's going to make plays. And he did time and time again. And so now if he starts to understand tackling angles and defenses and leverage points and patience and all these different things, my gosh, I mean, how much better can this guy be? And I think some people may forget at the end of last year, towards the end of last year, it was literally, how can we get Isaac Brown the ball? Like that was our offense, and it worked really well. Like throwing it to him, screens, handing it to him, snapping it to him, whatever it takes. Like get that cat the ball. And I surely think we'll see, Duke take another great step too, because he was fantastic and a really fun supplemental piece there. But these guys were great. And I think you're right. Just go score 40 a game. Who cares? Defensively, what we have to do there. And we'll talk about them in specific nature here in a second and the rest of the schedule. But I think this offense has a chance to be one of, if not the best in the ACC. When you look at firepower, when you look at the head coach, his mentality, how he wants to score, how he wants to move the ball. So there's a real shot. And that's a little bit of a trend throughout this league. We have some great quarterbacks, some great offenses, and it's going to be fun to see what everyone can do this year.
Before we get to the defense, the other point, and we're going to talk schedule too, but what I like about this schedule, other than the fact that it's easy, is, if you're a Louisville fan, is you have time. The first 3 weeks, your offense can just gel.
Yes.
And get confident. 3 straight home games, Eastern Kentucky, James Madison, Bowling Green. Like, let's just go out there and put up points.
Right.
I'm not saying this offense is going to have Lamar Jackson on it, but I remember the Lamar Jackson Heisman year. They started with, I think, like 3 kind of easy games, and Lamar already had like 20 touchdowns or something absurd.
You're looking up like, well, I guess just ship the trophy to Louisville. I guess it's done.
So you just get that confidence from the early part of the schedule. So that's good for Louisville fans. Let's also talk defense. Before we do that, Mac, we have to get to a message from our good friends over at Ingles. Mac has been throwing down on the grill. I have been in kind of just survival mode, trying to find things I want to eat. And that's just fine. And I can do that at Engles. But Mac, I know you've been getting after it.
Yeah, we absolutely have. The meat it's the best in town. And listen, when you're coming to Clemson, all these fans that are watching everywhere, Louisville, I hope you did it last year. You're going to have to wait a year to come back. This is where you get your tailgate stuff from, and we'll hook it up. We'll make sure you're taken care of right there on the Sequina Trail. Ingles is the place to be. So quickly, a message from our friends there, and then we're going to talk some defense.
Did you know that Ingles sells more organics than any other store? Or that they run their own dairy? Or that they only serve USDA choice and prime meat? Did you know that they have more local craft beer than any place else? Or that they have Energy Smart stores? Or that they professionally slice and package imported cheese from Europe? Did you know about their giant international aisle, local farm partnerships, curbside pickup, wine department, or that they donate 3,956 meals a day to local food banks? Well, now you do. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Okay, Mac, let's talk some defense here with Louisville. We know this defense has been disruptive over the last couple of years since Jeff Brohm took over. The numbers are pretty impressive, Mac. Louisville's forced 38 turnovers and compiled 70 sacks over the last 2 years. That's legit. And that's how, the offenses have been good. I would say the offense was better last year than it was Brahm's first year, but that's how you win 10-9 games when you don't have the super explosive offense that we think you're going to have this year. But Ashton Gelati's gone. A lot of other pieces are gone. There's a lot of guys to replace, Mac.
Yeah.
What do we feel like is the expectation for this defense?
Well, I think, just continuing to grow in the system, there were some Louisville fans that maybe wanted a change at defensive coordinator and that wasn't made. And is this a big year to now you do, if things do not go the way that you want, because, I think there has been a level of consistency, but also inconsistency at the same time. It's really back and forth kind of,
well, you gave up in those losses, Mac, you gave up a lot of points to SMU, you gave up a lot of points to Miami. Those were great offenses, but still.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things where now some of those big time leaders and contributors are gone. And so who are you going to be? Who's going to step up? I love what I've seen from Clev, a guy that's coming in from Coastal Carolina that's a war daddy. Can he take up that production from a Ashton Gelati type guy? Can they move him around? Is he going to be a true edge? Is he going to stand up a little bit? What will that look like? The linebacker core is all back and guys that have been there, done that. But then you look at the secondary that's going to be relatively brand new. A bunch of transfers coming in. Who's going to step up? Who's going to be the guy? But as you kind of mentioned before we took a quick break, and I think that gets us to what's next here, the schedule is favorable to learn who your guys are and who's going to step up, and you can do some experimenting and, get some different looks and just find out who are we going to be, offensively, defensively, who are guys going to step up for us a lot more known commodities offensively, but also the defense. Like we're such offensive people. It's just how this thing goes, but this is also going to be key for them too, on the defensive side of the ball, having an easier start here, and really almost like it's exhibition games or a preseason for the NFL that where, hey, you can figure this out. We're keeping score, goes on your record, but you should win these handily. And by the time you go to Pittsburgh, man, you got to feel really good about who you are. Now, maybe you aren't tested, and that's a little bit different, but at least there's confidence and identity, what we want to do, who we are, how we want to take this thing over.
And maybe there's an element here where the defense isn't as productive, doesn't force as many turnovers or get as many sacks, but they're a little more solid. They gave up a lot through the air last year, which was an issue for them. So you don't have to do too much. I think that's kind of the key with the defense, right? You don't have to win the game.
Correct.
Just don't lose it. Just be solid, because the offense should be able to do that for you.
Yeah. Just manage the big plays at the end of the day. Like you can't do that. And if you can get a couple turnovers, man, your offense takes advantage of it. You're overwhelming. Then okay, these guys have to pass. They're in passing situations because they're down. Let's go hunt. It's a totally different ball game when you can kind of force a team into that issue there.
So let's just say, barring a catastrophe, Louisville's going to start 3-0 with Eastern Kentucky, James Madison, an early bye week, and then Bowling Green. And then they're at Pittsburgh on September 27th. I think that's a really interesting game for Louisville and Pitt. Those two always play very interesting games. But when you look at their schedule, Mac, 4 true road games. You play 12 games. You're going on the road 4 times. Yeah. You have at Pittsburgh, at Miami, at Virginia Tech, and at SMU.
Not crazy.
4 pretty good environments, but still, you're only going on the road 4 times.
Yeah.
Here are the wins I see. Eastern, JMU, Bowling Green, Virginia, BC, Cal, Kentucky. Just straight up. Mm-hmm. That's 7. Mm-hmm. So I guess the only home game that I think you won't be favored in or could possibly lose, and Louisville fans might, have something to say because they beat them last year, is Clemson.
Right.
So if your number's 8.5, and this is why Vegas has this number so high, it's because of the schedule. But you got to find a way to win at Pitt. You got to find a way to win at Virginia Tech, SMU. I just feel like this offense is going to be really good, Mac. I think I would lean the over, and this is another at least a 9-3 year for Louisville.
Right, which is, again, the level of consistency, what you want. But the schedule, it's nice. And can you take advantage, again, of that, especially the start there? And then you really get humming. at Pittsburgh, environment-wise, is what it is, hit or
Yeah.
miss. Like, they'll either be there or they won't, and, but I think Pitt's gonna be a really good team. I think that's just the travel aspect of it in general, but playing a really good team that hopefully, and we think will be very inspired defensively. They bring a lot of junk. This offensive line, they lost some key starters. Are they gonna be ready? Again, they have those 3 games before to get to that point. At Miami, where's that Miami team mentally right there? I think that's coming off for Miami. I believe that's the game after Florida. So,
Yeah.
it's going to be a physical matchup for the Hurricanes, back-to-back weeks and seeing, a quarterback in DJ Lagaway and then going to this guy. Like, there's going to be some interesting things there, that they have. At Virginia Tech, always tough, always a tough place to play. Some confidence, as you mentioned, when Clemson comes to town on a Friday
sure.
night. Now, is this Clemson team going to be a juggernaut, undefeated, top in the country, or they face some bumps along the way there, and then at SMU, kind of a revenge game in itself that you see there. I'm confident in Brohm. I'm confident that he is going to find a way. I think the over is the play, but how far? Like, what's the ceiling? Is it time for Louisville to? They already made it to an ACC championship, which is a huge deal in year one. Do they win it? Do they somehow make it to the playoff? Louisville's getting a lot of love from people about being a playoff team. I've seen them as the 10, 11, 9 seed a lot from different people. So there's some expectation that, again, as I mentioned, you see it's either people love Georgia Tech or they love Louisville. That's kind of the way that the alternate ACC team is kind of going here. And I think the Cards have a shot. It's going to be interesting to see, just where they finish this year, KG, but I'm going over the number.
Here's the thing. You can't have a Stanford, right?
Correct.
You can't have that happen.
And
then
what do you mean by that? Like, there were so many dumb mistakes in regards to
that game was
execution,
insane.
penalties, putting yourself, like, just play ball.
Terrible.
Like,
Yeah.
take the next step.
And I know you're playing in front of 3 people.
Right.
Like, I get that.
I get that. But
you got to win that
do
game.
you. Yeah, worry about you, and handle business. And I think this team has a real chance.
Now, there might be some Louisville fans looking at the schedule and saying, yeah, I understand what y'all are saying, but we also draw the 3 best teams in the ACC.
Correct.
Like, they're going to play Clemson, Miami, and SMU. So from an ACC championship perspective and a tiebreaker perspective, you have every chance in the world.
Correct.
To play your way in there. And, if you just beat one of them, you're probably in the mix, right? If you're able to knock off Miami or Clemson or SMU or 2 of them, then you have the opportunities with this schedule.
Where do you lie on that? Those 3 games, what is Louisville?
I mean, we've talked about this because you can listen to our SMU episode. I'm thinking SMU may go down a little bit, just because of what they've lost. So I can see Louisville winning that game at SMU, and that was a great game last year at Louisville. Miami, we'll see with Miami and what they look like. We both think Clemson's going to be really good. Clemson has had some situations where they go to Louisville and the games are so close. I mean, I feel like every time Clemson goes to Louisville, the game's close.
Yeah.
So I think they should beat SMU in my mind. And then if you win one of those other ones, if you're able to knock off a Miami or Clemson and you don't mess up.
Are you going 2-1?
I mean, Mac, I think it's very possible. But then can we guarantee you're not going to mess up at Virginia Tech? Like, that's what I'm not sold on yet.
Correct.
With Louisville. And I really want to see this offense just in person and go.
And that's what I think is the hard part of building a culture, because when you have so many new people, your culture's relatively changing every year. And so you're right. Like, you would think, okay, if we had a 2nd-year quarterback, a 2nd-year running back, 3rd-year wide receiver, they're ready to take that step. But that's only partially the case. So I think they go 1-2 in those games. I don't know where the stumble is. Yeah. I probably feel the best about, SMU being the win. But if they go 3-0 in those,
I mean, what?
Look out. And not to say they can't.
It's going to be very interesting. And I generally like for a team who can kind of lay under the radar at the beginning of the year. Like, don't talk about us, don't worry about us. And if they can win their first 5 until Miami, people might not really be paying attention. And I think that's good if you're Louisville.
Yeah, I think so too. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. That's it. Let's put a bow on it. That's it
Let's
for
do
these
it.
recaps. So these previews. It was really fun. Appreciate you guys watching. Louisville fans, appreciate y'all tuning in and excited to see what you can do this year. I think you have a really good team, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see what they look like. Might take a little time for us to really figure out how good they are, but we'll see. And it's going to be off and running. Next week we're on. We're ready.
Let's go.
We're ready for game week. It's going to be so fun. There are massive games, guys. So stick with us. Got some really fun things coming. We appreciate you all always. Go over, subscribe. If you're watching right now, subscribe. Jump into the comments. Help us out. Keep this thing rolling. But until next time, we'll see y'all.